Hi everyone, my name's Rakaya and you may know me as a sex educator if you follow me on Instagram. I want to talk about something today that I don't really think gets called out. I think a lot of people are afraid to call it out, but I saw something literally yesterday that made me think to myself, you know what? I've actually got to speak about this. Before I get into it though, follow me on Instagram. That's __, 2 underscores, Rakaya. I'm hella active on Instagram. My stories every day, I'm talking about something. Okay, so I'm just gonna get straight into it. I've noticed that some gay men do perpetuate misogyny towards women when it comes to our looks, our bodies, sometimes even our genitals. And like I said before, it doesn't really get called out. At least I don't see anyone speaking about it in my community or people who are in close proximity to me, maybe because some people are afraid. I also see it a lot on YouTube, like whether it's online or I hear someone saying something in passing, or like I said, there are a few YouTubers on here as well who are gay men and who say some things that sometimes I'm just a bit like, But yesterday, what I saw in particular was just kind of like, I just thought it was disgusting. I thought it was absolutely disgusting what this person was saying. For example, this person that I saw on YouTube yesterday, it was absolutely horrible what they were saying about this woman and the way that they were speaking about their body. I think what needs to be made clear to a lot of gay men, queer men out there is when you speak on women's bodies, right? When you speak ill on women's bodies, when you speak ill on women's looks, you are being misogynistic. And of course, you may not notice this. You may not notice that you're being misogynistic because maybe you have a lot of female friends, especially if you identify more on the femme side. You may be surrounded by a lot of women, and I'm not gonna lie, I feel like the reason why it doesn't get called out, or the reason why people don't notice it or notice why it's a problem, is because a lot of the times gay men's enablers are other women. Your female friends might not notice it because while you're all kikiing together, they might be doing the same thing. Obviously, you're together, you're friends, you're both probably taking the piss out of the same person. So they might not notice that, wait, hold on a second. My friend is a guy, and even though we are friends, and even though we both may have marginalized identities, you still shouldn't be talking like that about other women. You shouldn't really be in women's business like that. You shouldn't be joining in taking the piss out of other women like that, because the optics, when you look at it under patriarchy, the optics are a bit mad. It's a bit mad. But you know, female friends might not notice this. Personally, for me, none of my gay friends have ever said anything mad about women around me. And if they were to ever say anything mad about women around me, I would call it out straight. Like, that stuff wouldn't fly around me. But like I said, there are other women who may not notice it. Having female friends doesn't give you a pass to disrespect other women. It really doesn't. It's important to understand that we are marginalized due to different aspects of our identities, right? Whether it's your sexual orientation, whether it's your gender, whether it's the fact that you exist in a fat body, whether it's the fact that you are disabled. But then there are other aspects of our identity that actually afford us privilege. And if you are a man, you benefit from male privilege. Like, there's just no way around that. Like, regardless of your sexual orientation, you're still a man. And sexuality can be hidden a lot more easier than gender can. Even if you are the most feminine person, or your gender expression is very feminine, it will be easier for you to perform masculinity, regardless of whether you're comfortable with it or not. because obviously you might not be comfortable with performing masculinity because hyper masculinity, because that's not who you are, but it doesn't mean that you can't do it. And it's very important to acknowledge that, and it's very important to acknowledge that privilege. It's very important to acknowledge that because a person's sexuality can be disguised, it means that you have the ability to walk through this world as a cishet man. Also, it's important to note that you are not absent from perpetuating the male gaze and the whole idea of a woman not fitting the definition of what you feel a woman should look like. Regardless of whether you're attracted to women or not, your gender affords you the ability to perpetuate that shit. And like I said before, you might not even notice that. You might not even notice that you're doing that. And the thing is, a lot of gay men as well, they support women. They support women far more than cishet men do. The proof is in the music industry. Most female artists, their fan base is usually made up of gay/queer men. Facts, especially when it comes to female rappers. Facts, especially when it comes to K-pop female idols, like the K-pop groups like Blackpink and Red Velvet. A lot of their fans are from the LGBT community. Like, a lot of them are gay men. Facts. Even a lot of female artists are queer icons, like Madonna, Janet Jackson, Lady Gaga. Like, these are women who, if you look at their fan base, like I said, you'll see a lot of queer men there. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's what I mean. Like, a lot of gay men support women and go hard for women more than cishet men do. Like, cishet men, hardly about. But in terms of, like, men from the LGBT community, like, most of them usually support women hard. I think it even goes both ways, to be honest. I think a lot of women support gay men as well. Even the person that I was talking about on YouTube, all of their comments were women. That person probably doesn't have any cishet male followers or male supporters. Their fan base is usually is most likely all women, and they're all kikiing and laughing. And I'm like, does this not come across as a bit funny to you that this guy is literally talking about this woman's body, like, and he's going in, and you don't see the issue, you don't see the problem. Another thing as well is that a lot of women have internalized misogyny as well. A lot of women suffer from that. A lot of women are also very man identified, pick-me's. We know about these terms. A lot of women, I said it in a previous video, a lot of women also align themselves with the dominant gender. They love to align themselves with the dominant gender. A lot of women love to be a man's girl. That's just not me. That is just not me. I think maybe years ago, you could probably say that was me. And I definitely did participate in that nonsense. But that's not me now, because I've realized that I prefer to extend my support out to other women, specifically other Black women. You can always tell if a woman is very man identified, because a red flag for me, because I've seen a few women in the UK who are like prominent voices in the UK, who, when you look at their comments, whenever they say something, whenever they talk about issues relating to like women, relationships, all these other kind of things, colorism, stuff like that. And if you notice, in their comment section, when you go on their social media, it's always men agreeing with them. Or even some female comedians, it's always men laughing in their comments. That's how I know. That's how I already know you're not for women. You may be a woman, but you're not for women. If you go to my Instagram right now, you will not see men in my comments. If you see a man in my comment, he's probably queer. If he's a cishet man in my comments, right, whenever I talk about sex-related issues, social issues, he's probably disagreeing. Because most of the people that follow me, most of the people who support me, most of the people who engage with my content are all women. They're all women. because I don't align myself with men. I don't do that shit anymore, because that's trash. That is trash behavior. It does nothing for you. Well, that's for another video. I prefer to surround myself with women. I prefer to be a girl's girl, because cishet men especially, I don't want anything to do with them. That's just how it is. But yes, anyways, because I'm going off on a tangent, what this made me think about as well is when I was watching Pose. I don't know if you've seen Pose or not. Let me know if you've seen Pose. If you haven't watched Pose, please watch Pose. It is so good. I hope I'm not reading into things, but what this reminded me of in Pose is how everyone in the ballroom community came together. What formed that community was the fact that they were all marginalised people. They shared some similarities in how they've been marginalised by society and ostracised by society. That was kind of what brought them together. That was what brought that community together. But I found it interesting that even in such a community, the men run shit. They ran shit. What I mean by that is that all the judges were men. All the judges were men. And the people who were putting the boards together were all men. There was one scene with one of the women, when she really wanted to like do her body. She wanted to get cosmetic surgery on the black market to do her body, because she wanted to walk in the category where basically you have to pass. Like you have to look as cis as possible, if that makes sense. I don't know if that's the right term to use, but you should look like a typical woman or whatever. It was the men that stopped her from walking in that category and told her, you're basically told her you're not womanly enough. Your body ain't right. You've still got a lot of work to do. Sorry, babes. You don't pass. And I thought, even in a space where trans women have obviously come to escape, the one thing that they still can't escape in that space is misogyny, trans misogyny. I just thought that was so interesting how even in that space, like, the men dictated how the women could operate, what they could do in that space, how they could express themselves, and even told them, listen, you don't fit. And it's funny because this is a space where you're escaping heteronormativity. This is a space where you're pretty much escaping cishet culture, but you're essentially telling these women that you don't fit what a cis woman looks like. You don't fit that very thing that we've basically created this space to escape from. It was just wild. It was just wild to watch. Like, and obviously I know that this is just it's a drama, but apparently it's actually based on the actual ballroom scene in the 80s, or in the 80s, 90s. I don't know. I just thought it's like, no matter what kind of, even when you create your own space, like if men are present, they will somehow find a way to dominate shit. They will somehow find a way to dictate how you move in that space. Like, you just can't escape patriarchy. No matter where you go, you just cannot fucking escape it. If men are around, you can't escape it. I don't know if I'm reading too much into Pose, or if anyone has maybe if I said something wrong, or if anyone has a different opinion, definitely share your thoughts. So that's all I really wanted to say. This was just a quick video. Hopefully you understood what I was talking about and I got my points across. I just wanted to call it out because, like I said, I don't think it's right, because gay men, queer men, however you identify, you absolutely can perpetuate misogyny, trans misogyny towards women, misogynoir towards black women. You very much are capable of doing that, and you have done that, and I've seen it. My point is just basically just be aware of that. Like, be aware of that. Be aware of how you talk about women when you're in their spaces, when you're in women's spaces, because if you do have a lot of female friends, naturally you're going to be in women's spaces. Be mindful of how you operate in them spaces as well. And when your female friends are joking about a woman and how she looks, I mean, that in itself, don't rate that. But be aware that as a man, it's very different when you do it. It's very different. It's very different when you're talking about another woman's pussy. It's very different when you're talking about another woman's body and how she looks. It's very different to when a woman talks about it. I don't know, just be mindful of that, because you're not exempt from perpetuating violence towards women. You really aren't. And that is one of the ways in which you're able to do that. Anyways, I think that's all for me now. Listen, I don't believe in political correctness. Even though my views and my politics are on the left side, I know that my side of the field can be very emotional and can have very much a herd mentality. And a lot of the times people's actions and what they say are motivated by emotions rather than logic. So I really hope that you've gotten to the end of this video and you've actually thought about what I've said before you just type, or before you come at me sideways. I don't know if anyone's gonna come at me sideways, but I'm just saying, like, just really think about it. If you have any opinions, any other opposing opinions, do share. If you want to also add your own 2 cents, definitely do. I want to hear other people's thoughts on this. I want to hear other people's thoughts, because I can't be the only one that has noticed this. I can't be the only woman that has noticed this. Like, there should be other women out there, like, but let me know anyways. Let me know. That's it. I'm gonna go now. I hope I've made myself clear, and that is all for now. Peace.